Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. We are back here today at the Zombie Pigman farm because I have finally cracked the mystery of why all of that zombie flesh was ending up in the blast furnaces. And it's a very, very simple fix, so hopefully I should be able to guide you guys in the right direction if you are following some of the system down here. And we're going to go over a couple of the details of the system before we go ahead and do something else for this episode, because I've decided I need a bit of a break from the nether. It's too hot here. It's been too hot in the UK for the last little while. I feel like going somewhere a little bit cooler, and these snow layers are kind of a clue about where we're going to go. But before we do that, of course, I will head down to this whole system and show you what's up. So in yesterday's episode, I did show you the dropper circuits, which are now dropping all of these items very, very slowly into a single spot down here on the hoppers, which are leading into the main storage system. And a lot of this is stuff you've seen before, but I'll go over it very briefly here. We have a few item filters which are filtering out each of the different drops that we will get from the Zombie Pigman farm. And a few people were a little bit curious about whether or not we would get zombie drops in there, considering that the Zombie Pigmen will occasionally spawn reinforcement zombies to aid them. Now, first of all, you shouldn't actually get any reinforcement zombies in this farm if you have lit it up correctly, because the zombies will still spawn based on light level, and they will spawn on glass, they'll spawn on stuff they're not normally supposed to spawn on, I believe, but if you have lit the whole thing up with torches or some other kind of light source, you shouldn't get any reinforcement zombies spawning in there at all. However, I haven't lit it up meticulously. I do still get reinforcement zombies spawning in there, but the difference being, aggroed zombie pigmen do not pass aggro onto the zombies. The zombies are naturally aggressive to the player, but it doesn't count as a player kill if the zombie just wanders into the minecarts. The pigmen are doing that because they're aggressive towards the player, and that's how come they drop player kill drops. But zombies do not drop iron ingots, carrots, and potatoes unless they have been killed by a player, and technically speaking, the minecarts are killing them, not me. So we don't have to worry about that at all. The only zombie drops that should come through the system are rotten flesh, and as you can see, we've been getting that by the bucket load. Now, hopefully, if I check out the blast furnaces down here, or if I check out the hopper minecart we've got here, it looks like my hunch is correct, and we are only getting gold swords in the system now. We are not getting any zombie flesh at all. There is none in the blast furnaces. All of these are now filled up with gold swords, and no rotten flesh is getting into the hoppers. That's absolutely perfect, and I will tell you what was happening. What was happening was, these hoppers that I've got up here were originally feeding into the side of this hopper here, which starts off the set of item filters with that rotten flesh item filter. Now, unfortunately, because I had two inputs to that hopper, I had one coming from above and one coming from the side because of the ring of hoppers that was going around the side here to that second drop spot. It was feeding two rotten flesh into that hopper at once, and the hopper wasn't having time to process two rotten flesh getting pulled downwards before it pushed one of them out into this other set of hoppers. So basically, as soon as it got two rotten flesh input at the same time, one from this hopper and one from the other set of drops coming in from that hopper, it was dividing them up between the storage system and the overflow where the gold swords are supposed to go. So now I've got that sorted out by feeding those drops through a chest and into this hopper, which feeds into the storage system. So now all of the drops come through in one place, and the difference there is that the hopper timing dictates that it pulls everything through at a steady, consistent rate, which the storage system can keep up with without feeding multiple rotten fleshes into the storage on that side. And this one is set up exactly the same on the opposite side as well, and none of these blast furnaces or hoppers should have any rotten flesh in them either. This is absolutely perfect. It worked out pretty well, and thankfully I didn't have to add a ton more extra item filters here for rotten flesh. I just had to move that set of hoppers up a couple of blocks and feed it through a chest at the top. And I don't think the chest is even necessary as a storage buffer, but I put it there just to be on the safe side. The last thing I want to do while I am here is fill up these chests that I've added to the backs of the blast furnaces with some sticks, which I brought over from the witch farm. So I've got two full shulker boxes of sticks, and we have yet more sticks over at the witch farm. I'm just going to feed in one row of these sticks into each of these chests here and have a little bit left over so that we can feed them in, because we're only really smelting, a few gold swords at a time. So putting in lava buckets that would smelt 100 items or so is kind of going to be overkill. overkill. I figured what we would do is just feed it the bare minimum of fuel, and if you wanted to, you could even have a fuel input like the one we're using at the XP furnace farm that we set up a couple of days ago, with a bamboo zero-tick farm feeding fuel into these as and when you wanted to. So you could effectively set something up here, because remember, bamboo doesn't need water the way sugarcane does, so it's fine to build that stuff in the nether. You could have it all feeding into these chests via those hoppers at the back. But look at that, we got ourselves a ton of gold nuggets in a record amount of time. And once that minecart hopper fills up and it's leaving gold swords in that chest, it should transfer a bunch more gold swords into the hoppers here, and we should be continuing to smelt that stuff into gold nuggets. So I've got to say, I am really happy that I've figured that out. The other thing I've done is move these two guys into a little impromptu shack here that was just built out of the materials I had on hand, so I'm sorry it looks a little bit like a prison block right now. I promise you these guys are doing well in here. They're able to refresh their trades thanks to these brewing stands, and this guy has even started discounting his rotten flesh trade because I've been able to trade with him so much. He thinks I am a preferred customer, and so he's even lowered his prices on a gold trade. He's trading a couple of rabbit's feet for an emerald now, and we get a little bit of a discount on glowstone, which is really, really nice, and trading a little bit more rotten flesh with these guys is going to be absolutely ideal in the near future. We can AFK out this gold farm for as long as we want to, or at least, you know, jump around a little bit in there and wave at the pigmen, shoot them with arrows, fire snowballs at them occasionally to get them interested in me again. And this farm should be ticking over quite nicely. In fact, this third shulker box I have in my inventory is already giving you an idea of the amount of stuff I'm getting from the farm. I've been here for maybe half an hour today. I've been able to trade myself a stack and a half of emeralds, 2 stacks and change of gold ingots that I've converted from the gold nuggets, and with those swords smelting away in the blast furnaces, we should have a fair amount of extra gold nuggets to convert. Now, the next step is really going to be to expand the storage system here to pull some of this stuff down to ground level, so I'm not having to climb the scaffolding every time I want it, and yeah, to scoop some of this stuff out of the system here and there so that I can convert it all into lovely gold ingots and cart it away. But now I'm rich, now I'm feeling a little bit rich. I feel like I need a holiday. I'm sick and tired of the nether. I want to go somewhere cold that I can chill and spend some of this money, or if not spend it, then at least hoard it away and, you know, revel in my riches for a little while. And so that is why we're going to be starting the ski project a little bit early. I've wanted to build a ski resort in Minecraft since the early days of this channel, and I even started giving it a go in my very first single-player Let's Play, which was about 5 years ago now. So a lot has changed, and I would like to return to the ice biome, the snow plains biome that is out in the far reaches of what I've explored of this world, and we are going to start on our ski resort project today. Oh, there it is. It takes me so long to find this place every time. I really need to do a better job at connecting this portal up to the rest of my nether portal network. What are the coordinates here? Okay, 767-538. I'll take a screenshot of that as well, because otherwise I will completely forget, and I really want to remember the coordinates to this place. Now we are going to be setting this up as our ski resort town. Now, some of you folks may remember this project from a little while ago. We actually went out here into an ice plains biome quite close to a village, as you can probably tell from the amount of villagers who have wandered into the nether, and we set up the giant map art of the Minecraft Survival Guide logo all the way out here in the frozen wilderness. This is, yeah, roughly 6,000 blocks away from my spawn point, and right here we have a lovely little Arctic village. We've got igloos and lovely kind of chalet houses, I guess, for the villagers here, some of whom may have bred again now that their friends have disappeared into the nether. But it's around here we are going to be making the ski resort town. We're going to be doing it a far distance away from the Survival Guide logo, of course, because it would be really weird to have a ski resort town with a massive pixel art map art thing over here. But I think we can at least make a go of it out here, and we'll find a nice place for us to set up a nice big ski mountain, because eventually what I want to do is terraform a mountain in this area so it looks a lot more like a mountain that you could actually go skiing on. Now, first of all, I will need to find a place to sleep because the sun is going down and I really don't want to be exploring out here in the dark. I'm pretty sure I stole a bed from one of these villages the first time I was here, so maybe I shouldn't do that again, but at least for now, I can take a nap in here and set my spawn point so that if we end up, you know, running into an accident out here, we could potentially respawn there and not be too far away. But I think if we can find some sheep in the nearby vicinity, we should probably get some wool of our own and make a bed. Unfortunately, I haven't brought a bed with me. By the way, as you can see, a lot of flying around happened, killed a few ghasts on the way here. So out here in the snowy wastes, we'll probably be able to find a couple of mountains that we could use as a starting point. And oh, a pillager watchtower here as well. Interesting. I will take the coordinates of this, because this was definitely not here the last time I was here, or if it was, I overlooked it entirely, and I think that might be kind of a fun thing to do some stuff with a little bit later on. But for now, this place is massive. There are so many different locations we could choose. I do want to have one that has a little bit of mountainous terrain nearby, another Arctic village over here though, and maybe some stuff like this we could convert potentially. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. I think maybe around here is where we can make our start. I'd like to be a little way away from the village though, but perhaps we can do something around here near the edge of this forest. Because the build I have in mind is going to be quite a neat one, and I am going to flatten out a little bit of the terrain here first, because I want a stable base on which to build one of these houses. It's very much a house that you might find nestled into a mountain or at the edge of a forest, kind of tucked into some foothills here and there. We're going to be building kind of an A-frame house, something a lot more modern than the kind of stuff that you would find over at Founder's Forge, which is based a little bit more on a kind of fantasy medieval feel. This house is going to be quite contemporary, and I'm looking forward to building in a different style. People have been asking me to do that on this series for a little while, because obviously the medieval building style is one that you've seen many times before, and some folks were interested to see what else is possible. So we're actually going to make this a bit of a block-by-block tutorial. Once I have flattened out the terrain here, I'm going to give you guys a few instructions on how to build a house like this, and I really hope you guys are going to enjoy it. Yep, I may have stolen a bed, a furnace, and a little bit of food from that nearby village, but I'll return them if I need to, at least. Now, let's take a look at what we've brought with us in the shulker boxes, because there's a few materials that I wanted to bring over. Got some ender pearls just so that we can get up and down the build easily, but we shouldn't need to worry too much about that, because this build is going to involve a lot of stairs. What we're going to be building is kind of like an A-frame house, but with a little bit of a twist. And we're going to start off actually by planting some spruce saplings. We've got a fair amount of spruce wood here that we can also use for the exterior and interior of the build. I've got some cobblestone, some andesite, and some stone just for a bit of textural variation. Figured we might want a hearth in here somewhere, so I've got some campfires with me, and then a fair amount of glass, some nice modern looking materials like white concrete, which is going to fit in really well with the snowy biome here. We've got a few spruce stairs and trapdoors to kick us off, a couple of doors just so that we can have some entrances and exits to the place, and some mossy cobblestone for a little bit of detail. We're also going to be grabbing a few snow layers from around the vicinity here. I've got a few in my inventory already, and I think we picked up a few more here and there whilst I was clearing out and flattening this section of the terrain, but we can always gather a few more of those as we need to. So the main event of this whole house really is going to be the entrance, and we're going to start off by planting 4 spruce saplings in a square like this to make a 2x2 spruce sapling, which we're going to bone meal until it grows to its full height. And I had forgotten that they produce podzol when they do that, funnily enough, but no worries, we'll deal with it when we need to. Now let's go 3 blocks along here and plant another one of those, and we're actually going to be taking this one down. So of course it grows higher than the one next to it. We're going to be taking down all of the leaves and stuff, getting rid of those, and then chopping this down so it's a little bit smaller. And incredibly, I forgot to bring shears with me or even an ender chest, so I had to go and get some iron from a nearby cave to make this pair of shears, but thankfully the iron was quite close to the surface and I was able to shear the rest of those leaves off. Now we want to grow a third 2x2 spruce tree. We want to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we want to build this one here. And of course, I need to clear out some of the stone from around here too. Little bit of bone meal, and bam, of course, it's one of the ones with a huge amount of leaves. I might need a second set of shears at this rate. A whole bunch of leaf punching later, we are left with the 2 stumps on either side of this central pillar here. I say central, it's kind of offset here, but that is going to be the main pillar that supports the frame of our house here. So we're left with a whole bunch of spruce wood, which we can now convert into planks. We'll make some of this into a crafting table, and from there we're going to make a whole lot of spruce stairs. You'll notice I brought some of those with me already, but that is not nearly as many as we're going to need. In fact, I'm going to convert as many planks as I can into stairs here, and we're going to start off building the frame of our roof. Now this is going to start out coming from this pillar here and coming out in a kind of diagonal pattern. Ignore this one, misplaced that one, and we're going to place that so it ends up down there, just slightly removed from this kind of stump that we've left of this tree. And we're going to continue this up in a diagonal pattern like so until we reach the connecting part of this trunk here. When you've done that, it should look something like this. We're actually going to remove this stair here and fill that in with a spruce log, if I've got any. This is why I brought a few spare, because we're going to need those a little bit later on, but also I wanted to fill in occasional things like that. Now we're going to widen this out on both sides so it's 5 blocks deep, with this kind of at the center, middle, slightly offset towards the front of the build. And so we're going to build this whole section up here several times until it intersects with this giant trunk of the tree here. Alright, that's one section of this slope done. It's all done using stairs, and when you come around to the front of the build, it's going to start looking like this, which is nice. We're going to make the entrance to our house over here. And now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side, but because this trunk is actually a fair distance further away than this one, the angle of this is actually going to be the same, but it's going to reach higher up on this central tree trunk, and it's going to create this really lovely offset kind of A-frame that we're going to be working with for the silhouette of this house. But on this side, we are going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to start a set of stairs that builds upwards from over here towards this central trunk. So I'm just going to alternate the stairs upside down and a right way up, like so, continuing up until we reach the central trunk of the build. Once again, we've made this section 5 blocks thick, exactly the same as it is on the opposite side, but now when we come over here, you'll see it's got this really nice structure to it. And what we're going to do is create the entrance over on this side, and we're going to create a huge floor-to-ceiling glass window on this side, which is going to give it a really, really modern feel. The entrance side here is going to be nice and straightforward. We're going to build up on either side like so, making sure that we end up taking out the stair block there so that this cobblestone block nestles nicely into the roof line there. We're going to fill up the other side and make sure that we take out this stair here in the same fashion. Pop down here, and then we're going to create a very simple one-wide door frame like so. Pop an oak door in the center there, and we'll get some glass panes to fill in this section, maybe popping out that top part of the frame there so that we can frame that fully in the cobblestone. But I think cobblestone is going to be quite nice here next to the rest of those textures. It's almost going to look like it's intentional and repetitive and kind of like Pebble Dash, I suppose, something like that. There we go, a couple of glass panes in there, and that's looking really nice. If the cobblestone texture is a bit too much for you, you might want to consider an alternative block like andesite maybe, but I don't know, I think that looks quite nice. Now we'll move on to this large window that we're going to be building here, and that's just going to be made of glass blocks all the way up, all the way down. So we'll have to take out a line of the roof like so, but we're just going to have it fit the triangular nature of the roof line here. Looking at it now, I think I actually want to bring the top of that central trunk down a little bit, so I'm just going to quickly fly up there and take off the top 2 blocks so that this set of stairs here actually meets the very top of the build. So it comes up to this point, and that's going to look like it divides it nicely. Let's step down here and take a look. Yeah, I really, really like that. I like that a lot. We're going to use this as the template for the rest of the sections of the house. Now, of course, this place is going to have interior walls, and that's where the stone and the andesite come in. I'm actually going to start the interior walls right here. I'm going to create a 4-block high stone wall in here, peppering the andesite in here and there, just to give it a little bit of texture whilst remaining still fairly smooth. And for the sake of symmetry, we're going to be doing the same on the opposite side here, so each section of these is going to be 7 blocks long. I I think that's how long I've made the one on the opposite side here. We'll probably go 7 blocks to start off with. You know what? We are going to actually have to make that 2 blocks longer on each side. So 9 block long walls, because we're going to create another section of the roof basically identical to this one, and it's going to start here basically on that 8th block along. So we're going to have 8 and 9 covered up by another 5 block long section of wall, and it's going to cover up those last 2 blocks kind of in the same way that this one does. And that means I'm going to have to move the shulker boxes around a little bit, especially now we've got this wall set up. I don't mind moving a couple of them, because we are going to have to build another one of these giant spruce trunks, and this time I'm going to build it from scratch out of spruce logs of my own instead of growing a tree and having to take down all of the leaves. But we're going to put that back here like so, and that's going to be just slightly offset from center of this next panel of the roof, which is going to be 5 blocks long once again, and is going to basically reach out to this block here. Making sure this is parallel with the one in front of the doorway, of course. These are also going to act as really great dividers between the different sections of the house. So this section down here could be a kind of like reception area, living room, whatever it wants to be. And then further back into the house, where there's a little bit more privacy from this enormous front window, you can have living quarters, bedrooms, and bathrooms and stuff like that. So with that built up to an equal height with the one in the front, I'm going to continue this section of stairs coming up to the roof. Once again, we're going to build this 5 blocks wide on this side, and then we're going to build another identical panel on the opposite side. And now, yeah, you can really see why we needed this much spruce wood. Now, this is, of course, a house in a snow biome, and right now it's got these kind of large gaps in the roof section over here, which we should probably fill in with something. So I've taken out these 2 stairs here, and I'm actually going to fill these back in with cobblestone in kind of the same way that we did the front entrance. I feel like the exterior walls have this kind of cobblestone effect in this place. We can do the same here on this brand new section of the roof we've created, filling that in with cobblestone there as well, and we'll probably need one more around this side. Now, in between the roof sections on this side, each one of these is going to get extended upwards, but in a different way. This is the south-facing side of the house, so that's probably the stuff that would get the most sunlight in the real world. And what we're going to do is expand this upwards by 2 blocks using stone, and then we're going to come inwards a block just to make sure that it manages to seal up with the roof line here, and we're going to create another little section over the top. And the central section of this here, just this central block, is going to get turned into a nice, tall, modern-looking window with several glass panes in it that's going to let the light stream in first thing in the morning and make sure that the area is nicely lit. And we can keep that quite a narrow window. We could also put some windows down here on the ground floor if we wanted to, but I think it's kind of nice just to have one large window up there. Maybe add one more block to the top of that. I want this place to feel like it has a nice high ceiling on the inside, which is also kind of a modern touch to have. So as long as it seals up with the roof line here as well, we should be able to get away with just having another layer of stone on top of that, mixing in blocks of andesite as we go. Maybe for the roof of this section here, we can create a slightly shallower slope just by stepping it up half a block each time instead of using stairs, and still meeting the roof line in the middle here. That's good, but it could use a little bit more shape to it here. I think we could probably take out this block and maybe put a stone block in, and then just have it step down by half a block each time, maybe? Yeah, there we go. And that can just happen on the edges here, so that each of those sections is 3 slabs thick, or 1.5 blocks thick. We'll do that on the opposite side as well. Maybe on the sides here we can add some windows there with glass panes at the same height as the one on the side, so 1.5 blocks down from the roof. Let's do that on this opposite side as well. And around the bottom of the build here, I want to add a few bushes and stuff like that, just for a sense of color, and just so that we can make this feel like it's been grown into the landscape a little bit. We can build up some snow layers up around those as well. That's also going to detract from the fact that there is pods all around there, and it can kind of imply that this section of the roof is a section that the snow would just fall straight off. Of course, that's likely to be the case for the steeper sections of roof as well, but I only have so many snow layers on me right now. On the inside, I want to put a fireplace on the opposite wall, and we can do whatever we want with the fireplace on the inside, but on the outside, I just want this to be a very simple 3x3 chimney that rises up from the center section of the roof here. So we're actually going to expand these sections of the roof in 1 block, while we have the cobblestone of this chimney just rising up from the center. We're going to make this just a block or 2 higher than the rest of the house, and of course the campfire smoke won't reach up that far unless we put another campfire in the top here, or if we added a hay bale fill to the campfire at the bottom. But with a campfire in the top section there, it can just rise up a natural amount and is going to look really sweet from a distance. To enhance the chimney feel, we could bring it out a little bit on the side of the building with a 5-block wide base out here like so, and then maybe have it stagger inwards to the chimney a little bit like this. And that's going to provide a nice foundation for the chimney on the outside of the build, whilst also allowing us to wrap the roof around the top of it here a little bit higher than this outside wall. So this is actually looking really great. I'm really happy with this so far. The only problem right now is that the chimney looks really obviously unfinished from the outside when you look at the central room here. It's just kind of hanging down from the top of the room. So if anything, we almost want to consider this part of the exterior of the build because you can see it so clearly through this glass window. So what I want to do is maybe create a sort of support structure for the chimney here. We can have that go 1 block up in the middle and then wrap around to the center here. I actually made some cobblestone walls, and I thought maybe we could integrate those into this here and have one there, and maybe have one coming in like that as well, so they sort of wrap around the chimney here. Bring these blocks down on all 4 corners like so, and yeah, that definitely feels a little bit more like something that could contain a roaring fire. And this little campfire in here doesn't seem to be really fitting the bill of a roaring fire at this point, so maybe we should do something about that a little bit later. But at least for now, when you look at this from the outside, that's going to feel a lot more like something that befits a chimney of that size. Maybe for now we'll just put in a few stone bricks here as flagstones, and then we can sort out the rest of that later. For this next section of the house, the back section of the house, I am actually going to start the build out here, which is going to be a little bit weird with the lines of the roof, but trust me, I think we can work this out. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to go 5, probably 6, 7, just to give ourselves an odd number to work with. And now this section is going to not be quite as tall as that one over there. We're actually going to make a balcony up on top of this one, which is going to look really sweet, actually. So a section of white concrete pushes out from the build here, 7 blocks wide, 6 blocks high, and back as far as the roof line will allow. So this section here is going to be one of the downstairs bedrooms, or possibly even the bathroom. I'm not quite sure yet. I don't really have plans to do the interior of this build today, but I think the rest of it is going to come together pretty well in the meantime, and we can always just block this off with concrete for now, because on top of this we're going to be building a balcony, and I'm out of white concrete. Once again, some nice high windows for the sake of privacy from the outside, but providing plenty of light to the inside, especially if this is going to be a bedroom or a bathroom. We want to make sure that people have a decent sense of privacy, but can still enjoy the view from inside of here. And on the interior, I guess we better join up this wall here with the wall of our new concrete module of the house over there, and we'll just fill that in once again with stone and andesite, making that wall nice and long in that direction. And looking at it now, it feels like this side of the house is going to be a hallway. It makes sense with it being directly in front of the door, so you can carry on into the rest of the house. If you're not interested in chilling in the living room, we can probably take down a little bit of this concrete as long as it doesn't compromise the roof line there. Yeah, that should be fine. Speaking of the roof line, it's probably time to start our next and final patch of the roof. We're going to do another 5 wide panel here, and you guessed it, we're going to have to build the same spruce logs formation that we had on the front of the house. So that large central pillar there and the 2 smaller sections to either side. And guess who turned up on my roof? I cannot escape this guy. Even if I go to the frozen wilds of the tundra, 6,000 blocks away from home, the wandering trader always finds us. Let's see what he's got for sale then. Go on, we might as well. He's selling me spruce saplings and packed ice in a snow biome. I can't believe this guy is selling me stuff from my own doorstep. And we are going to bring the roof in a little bit around here just to cover this section up. We are going to leave a doorway here though, probably 3 wide, centered on the balcony section that we're going to have out here, and we'll actually make this 3 blocks high, just so that if it's a balcony made of slabs or anything like that, then we can always make sure that the doorway is in about this level, and then there's just a half slab step down. And I think what I want to do on the opposite side is build a larger version of this. We're just going to have a big white concrete box on the opposite side. That's going to allow us to fill up the last section of the roof here with white concrete, which is going to look really nice contrasted with the spruce and cobblestone sections of the roof here. Does mean I'm going to have to take down a couple of these trees that are nearby though. And we're going to have this section end right where the other walls on this half of the building end. We're going to end them about there. So we're going to just build a line of concrete along the bottom there, and Hopefully this will connect up. I have a feeling I'm about to run out of white concrete though, so I'm probably going to have to run back to Founder's Forge and get some more. Yep, even tinkering with this a little bit so I could cut out some of the blocks from the inside, we are going to need about a stack more white concrete, which is a shame because it means going all the way back to my to my base and getting some more. But that's probably going to be the finishing touches to this house aside from the back wall. And I really hope I left an ender chest over here somewhere. Oh, it doesn't look like I did. I've only got one firework left. This might be a bit more of an eventful trip back from the nether than I was hoping. Yeah, this definitely feels like the walk of shame at this point. I am low on food, I'm low on fireworks. Thankfully, I'm not low on elytra durability. I guess I could probably go back to the overworld and make some fireworks if I wanted to with gunpowder and paper. But, yeah, I think I'm probably going to have to wing it through the nether, getting back to the base. Well, I made it to the giant portal that we took the ghast through. I think maybe one firework will be enough to get me home from here, but I am going to have to make it count. There we go. Just about made it, managing to glide all the way home. Touchdown. Fantastic. All right, let's grab some stuff, and I'll meet you back at the snow biome. Well, let that be a lesson to you folks. Always bring more materials than you need, and always make sure you've got an ender chest on you. So I'm going to be leaving that firmly by the door where it's got a few more supplies to make some fireworks. I've got a little bit of gunpowder and paper in there, so if I need any more fireworks, I can make them, and I should probably do a little bit less flying around this house looking at how nice it is. Anyway, the Wandering Trader is still here, of course, and I have 2 more stacks of concrete that I can use to finish off this section of the build at the back here. But what I'm imagining for this place is another sort of bedroom type of thing up here, but connected to a mezzanine floor that's going to allow us to get out to the balcony on the other side here. And downstairs we might have a separate sleeping quarters kind of thing as well, so we can at least fit a couple of bedrooms into this build here and there. And whether this turns out to be a bedroom or a bathroom or whatever, either way it's going to be a useful space. Now the last thing we need to do is make sure that this back wall is filled in with something, so I think... Sorry, I just realized this entire pillar here is in the wrong place, because I think we built this section a little bit higher than the front of the house, and so I was expecting this pillar to be there when it is in fact meant to be here. Okay, not to worry, we'll just be able to fill that in nice and easily, and connect the roof line up, there we go, and take down this wall, there we go. Okay, so that's as wide as I was expecting it to be now, and we can go ahead and fill this back section in. We might make this an entrance as well, as though this place has a back door of sorts, but that's not going to be as accessible because it's around the back here at the forest, and maybe we'll pile some snowdrifts in front of the door as though it doesn't get used all that much. Yep, there we go. This one is going to be a little bit snowed in on this side. Yeah, that's kind of nice, actually. It lends a nice ambience to the place, makes it feel like it is kind of in an active, snowy climate, although we do need to fill in a few of those sections around here. Maybe we'll just wait for it to snow though. And last but not least, here we're going to make a section of the back wall here where this would be a large glass window on the front. We're going to make a wall out of pure andesite because I actually really like the andesite texture in combination with these materials and the snowy biome. It still kind of has that slightly cold feel to it, and yeah, I think that's going to look pretty good. So this right here is now more or less a complete house. We still need to figure out what we're going to do with the balcony section up there, add a door, add some sort of like entrance to it up there, and do something with the interior, but this is a completed house. And I really, really like it. I think this is looking fantastic. It's much more contemporary, modern looking than the kind of stuff I have built in this series to date. And I think it fits perfectly into the biome. It kind of has that ski chalet sort of feel out here in the wilderness, in the tundra, and it looks nice and modern with these nice kind of clean lines to it, the sort of bisected A-frame style here that we've gone with. I think that's looking really, really special. Now let's take a quick fly around it so you guys can see it from the outside here. We've got a bunch of different modules to it, so it really breaks up the feel of that elongated roof. But if you wanted to, you could just make the roof super long on both sides, and it would still feel nice and cozy tucked away in here, although you might have a little bit less room to work with inside. The fireplace is something quite special, though. Seeing that fireplace through the window is really quite cool. And one of the things I wanted to do is add a little bit of moss to the chimney on the outside, mainly because moss is going to gather in warm places, and if it's right next to the forest here, I feel like you might get a little bit of that kind of creeping into the fireplace here and there. We'll pile up snow around the outside of all of this, but if there's going to be any plant life growing kind of between the cracks in this cobblestone, then it's going to be on this chimney where it can actually get access to warmth a little bit more of the time. So that looks pretty good to me. I think that is where we're going to call it a day for this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide, folks. I hope you have enjoyed something a little bit different today, a modern house build for you guys. This is a little bit of a taste of what's to come in the future of this series. We're still going to be working on Founders Forge. We're still going to be doing all sorts of farms and other projects here and there, but I like getting out here and doing something a little bit different. It certainly blows the cobwebs out, I guess, and so I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, don't forget to leave a like on this episode, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care, and bye for now.